All right. Ready to dive into Thinking Fast and Slow.
Oh, a classic. Love that book.
Right. I think given how you like to absorb everything really quickly, you'll find this one fascinating.
Yeah.
It's by Daniel Kahneman.
Yeah, for sure.
And basically, we're going to unpack this idea he has about the two systems of thinking that duke it out in our minds all the time.
Yeah.
And we're calling them System 1 and System 2, just to, make it easy.
Simplify it.
So System 1, that's kind of like your snap judgment.
Yeah, your gut feeling.
Gut feeling.
Immediate reaction.
And then System 2 is more like your deliberate, analytical side.
Right, exactly. And you know what Kahneman does so brilliantly in this book?
What's that?
He really brings to light the fact that while System 1, it's often right, it's how we navigate most of our lives, right? It's also prone to, should we say, glitches.
Glitches. I like that.
Glitches, yeah.
So we end up thinking we're being totally logical.
Yeah.
When really it's System 1 calling the shots.
Behind the scenes.
And we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that story about the chess master?
Oh, you mean the one where he's like passing a street game?
Yes.
And he just casually says, white mates in 3? Like, without even breaking stride.
It sounds like pure genius, right?
Right.
But it's really it's like years of pattern recognition.
Exactly. It's honed expertise.
And Kahneman calls it expert intuition.
Yeah. Perfect example of System 1.
And the thing is, we all use System 1 successfully all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just chess masters.
Think about it. You pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You instantly can tell if the person on the other end is having a good day or a terrible day.
Oh, that's true.
That's System 1 processing those subtle cues.
It's so fast.
In a split second.
I never even thought of it that way. That's so true.
It's amazing.
Our brains are like these incredible prediction machines.
They are.
Constantly just scanning, looking for patterns, trying to make sense of everything.
Exactly. And, that's what makes System 1 so efficient.
Yeah.
But as we'll see, those same shortcuts can sometimes lead us down some very interesting paths. And, those interesting paths, they can be paved with cognitive biases.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember the law of small numbers?
Yeah.
That one really highlights how our intuition can really lead us astray.
It's like that saying, there are 3 kinds of lies. Lies, damned lies, and statistics.
Right.
Like our brains just want to see patterns.
Yeah.
Even when the connections aren't really there.
Exactly. And, Kahneman gives this great example looking at kidney cancer rates across the U.S.
Okay.
Right. And so what areas do you think had the lowest rates?
I don't know. Maybe someplace peaceful and rural. I don't know.
You got it. The rural, sparsely populated counties.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Those same counties also had the highest rates.
Oh, wow.
Right. Because, and he points out that with small populations, you tend to see extremes at both ends just due to random chance.
Okay.
It's the same reason you see those lists of best performing schools.
Right.
Often dominated by small schools. It might just be luck.
That's such a good point, because as someone who really values reliable information,
Yeah.
I have to remember that.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get swayed, like by a catchy headline.
Absolutely.
Or a small study with like promising results.
Oh, for sure. And, Kahneman actually used this kind of thinking to advise the Israeli Air Force.
Right.
Yeah. They were trying to figure out why one squadron had way more losses than another.
Oh, wow.
Even though they were flying the same missions.
Yeah.
And so naturally they wanted to analyze what the bad squadron was doing wrong.
Of course, yeah. You'd want answers. So what did he say?
He told them to stop the investigation.
What?
Yeah, he argued that the difference was likely just luck, and that searching for a deeper reason would just be pointless, maybe even hurtful to the pilots who are already, feeling the pressure.
That's so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But it makes perfect sense.
Right.
When you think about like the emotional impact.
Absolutely.
Speaking of counterintuitive, this whole concept of anchoring it blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because it shows how a totally random number can just like hijack your thinking.
It's true.
It's like that experiment where they asked people about the percentage of African nations in the UN.
Yeah.
Right after they spun a wheel of fortune that was rigged to either land on 10 or 65.
Right.
And the people who saw that wheel land on 10 guessed way lower percentages.
Totally irrelevant.
It's crazy.
It's crazy how our brains work.
It's wild. And anchoring isn't just in a lab setting either.
Oh, no.
Kahneman talks about how it affects like salary negotiations.
Yeah.
And estimating Gandhi's age when he died.
Right.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, asking people whether they thought he was older or younger than 140.
140?
140. Before giving their estimate.
That's so high.
Right. But that ridiculously high number, it acted as an anchor.
Wow.
And the people who were first given that number, they guessed significantly higher ages than those who weren't.
Even though they knew it was, like, meaningless?
Even though they knew, yeah.
That's wild.
It's really wild.
So knowing how powerful anchoring is, like, how do you fight back?
That's a great question.
Yeah, what do you do?
Well, Kahneman suggests a few different strategies. One is to think the opposite. Okay. So, if you're in a negotiation, you consciously consider the lowest offer that you would accept and why. And actively look for reasons why that initial number might be too high or too low.
Oh, so it's like playing devil's advocate with your own intuition.
Exactly.
Good.
Another tactic is to use multiple anchors. So let's say you're buying a car.
Okay.
Don't just fixate on the sticker price. Do your research. Research similar models. See what others are paying. Flood your system one with alternatives.
Outsmart your inner gambler. I like that. Okay, you mentioned something earlier about availability bias.
Yes.
I kind of want to circle back to that. This one really resonates with me.
Okay.
Because, I tend to remember vivid details more easily than others.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So this really stood out.
Well, and that's exactly what availability bias is all about. How easily something comes to mind. It explains why we're more scared of plane crashes than car accidents, even though driving is statistically far more dangerous.
Right.
A plane crash is this huge, memorable event.
It's like that saying, you're more likely to be killed by a champagne cork than a shark. But try telling that to someone on a beach vacation.
Exactly. But it's not just these external events. Kahneman describes this study where they asked people to rate their own assertiveness. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And they had some people recall 6 instances of them being assertive and others 12.
Okay.
So you'd think those recalling 12 would feel more assertive.
More examples, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
More evidence. But the opposite happened.
Right.
Those who struggled to come up with 12 actually rated themselves as less assertive.
Oh, interesting.
And Kahneman calls this unexplained unavailability, where when recalling something is harder than we expect, it distorts our self-perception.
Wow. So even our memories can betray us. It makes you realize how subjective our experience of the world really is. So we've talked about how our memories can shape our perceptions.
Right.
But Kahneman also talks about how, the way information is presented, the frame, can totally change our choices.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what is it? You can lead a horse to water,
but you can't make it drink. Exactly.
if the options are the same, our decisions can totally shift depending on if we're thinking about the gains or the losses.
Right, absolutely.
He talks about this, the Asian disease problem.
Oh, right, yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
How does that one go again?
Okay, so imagine a deadly disease is headed our way.
Okay.
You have to choose between 2 programs to combat it.
Okay.
Program A guarantees to save 200 people.
Okay.
Program B has a 1/3 probability of saving everyone and a 2/3 probability of saving no one.
Okay.
Which do you choose?
Oh, that's tough. I think I go with A.
Oh.
A, sure thing. Saving 200 lives feels better than the risk, even though B could save everyone.
Right.
I don't know.
That's what most people choose.
Yeah.
Now, same scenario, different framing.
Okay.
Program C will lead to 400 people dying.
Oh, okay.
Program D has a 1/3 probability that no one dies. 2/3 probability that 600 people die.
Okay.
What's your choice?
See, now I'm more likely to gamble on Program D.
Yeah.
Because that thought of 400 people definitely dying,
Yeah.
that's hard.
It feels very different.
Yeah, even if more people could die, it's just, ugh.
Right, and that's it.
That feeling.
That's the framing effect.
Wow.
Options are statistically the same.
Right.
But when we're talking lives saved, we're risk averse.
We don't want to risk it.
Talk about it as losses.
Yeah.
Suddenly we're willing to gamble.
Oh, that's so interesting.
But it's powerful. Right?
Yeah, so our emotions get wrapped up, even when we think we're being logical.
Exactly. Yeah, and this all ties into another key concept from the book.
Okay.
Loss aversion. Kahneman argues that the pain of a loss is way bigger than the pleasure of an equivalent gain.
It's so true. It's like that sunk cost thing.
Yes.
We hate to think about losing what we've put in.
Right.
Even when it's clearly a bad idea to keep going.
Exactly. And it's not just about money. Think about professional golfers, right?
Yeah.
Kahneman, he talks about a study that found that they were way more driven to avoid a bogey than to make a birdie.
Really? You'd think that thrill of doing better
Right.
would be more
You
motivating.
would think so.
Interesting.
The pain of that one stroke loss, it was powerful.
Wow.
And this loss aversion, it can have huge financial consequences.
Oh, yeah.
He gives this example of two stocks. One's a loser, the other's a winner. You need cash.
Yeah.
Which do you sell?
The loser.
Logically, yes.
Cut your losses.
Your losses.
Yeah.
But that loss aversion.
It's like, no, it's going to come back up.
Exactly. We want to hold on,
Yeah.
hoping it's going to bounce back.
Yeah.
Even if it means selling off the thing that's doing well.
It's fascinating how our brains work.
Isn't it?
This has been great.
It's so fun to think about this stuff.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
If you're anything like me, you're leaving here thinking about how you could apply this
Absolutely.
to your everyday life.
Right, to make better decisions.
Better decisions.
I love it.
It's all helpful.
This has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. This was fun.